Hello everyone, welcome to Walk the Parks. My name is Blake. Today we are going to do a full hike of the Park Avenue Trail. This trail is located within Arches National Park. That's kind of a quick look at the parking lot. Now this is a point-to-point trail and there are two trailheads. So there's one trailhead right here that we're at, which is called the Park Avenue Trailhead. And then there is another one that you can start at, and the other one is called, I think it's Courthouse Butte. And so you could start at either one and kind of go either way. I thought that this is kind of the Park Avenue viewpoint as well. As you'll see here, there's like a kind of a fenced off area, and it's paved. So there's good accessibility to go here. So I thought I'd show going this way. Absolutely beautiful hike. I would rank it as moderate. You do have to go when you're going the other way. You're definitely climbing, but not too bad. And it's only about 1.8 miles round trip, so that's not too bad either. Absolutely beautiful. I looked up some images of what Park Avenue in New York City looks like, and I can kind of see it. I mean, you kind of have a wide valley bottom with towering, I guess buildings would be the case in New York City, but towering kind of buttes and fins and just a lot of beauty here. Really a pretty trail. Definitely enjoyed it. Purpose of this video is basically to be like a video guidebook of this trail. So, you can read a book about it, you can go to all trails, or if you're really curious about what it actually looks like, this is it here. You can feel free to either mute me out and just watch or skip ahead to see, if you want to see what the rest of the trail looks like. Like pretty much the only paved part is right here. You can see it says, there's a little sign that says trail, and then we go down. Absolutely beautiful trail work here. A lot of the stairs are just gorgeous. It can be a little bit tricky to follow, as it says primitive trail beyond this point. Follow rock cairns, and rock cairns are just small piles of rock. This is really the first trail that you encounter as you enter Arches National Park. Like as you're going basically at the visitor center, which is the lowest point in the park, you go up a somewhat steep hill and you do a switchback, and kind of near the top of it is where the pull-off is for the Park Avenue Trail. Some potential other uses of this video would be perhaps if you're at the gym on the treadmill or something like that, you could put this on in the background and kind of have a virtual reality experience. Or the other reason would be kind of accessibility. So there are a ton of people in the world who probably will never make it to Arches National Park for whatever reason. So this is kind of for you, kind of give a more immersive experience and not like some sort of, highly produced video. I mean, those certainly have their positives as well, but this video mainly focuses on you can actually see, the full trail, not a summary or anything like that. So, according to the National Park Service website, the Park Avenue Viewpoint and Trail, a paved sidewalk leads to a viewpoint down a corridor of towering rock walls and curiously carved spires. Descend stairs to walk the trail among massive monoliths towards Courthouse Tower viewpoints 1 mile away. Round trip distance is 1.8 miles or 3.2 kilometers. Estimated time of completion is approximately 1 hour. And the elevation change is approximately 322 feet or 98 meters. Difficulty rating is moderate. For the hike description, the trail descends steeply into a spectacular canyon and continues to Courthouse Towers. For a round-trip hike, retrace your steps along the trail rather than walking along the road. Trail tip: to avoid the steep stairs, start at the north end. Accessibility: the paved walkway to the viewpoint, as we just saw, is accessible to wheelchairs. Beyond, this trail has a long flight of stairs and requires some walking on sand and uneven surfaces. Dogs are not allowed in this trail. Service animals are allowed in national parks. And basically, it's just 3.6 miles after the visitor center. This is many visitors' first scenic stop. At Park Avenue, you can gaze down a grand boulevard of rock and let your imagination loose. Previous visitors named some of the rock features here: Queen Nefertiti, Queen Victoria, and Sausage Rock, also known as the Corn Dog. What names does your imagination suggest? Often overlooked, Park Avenue Arch is visible from the parking lot, suspended high up a rock wall on the right. Light is not visible through the arch from this angle. Now, just some facts about Arches National Park. Arches National Park was originally established as a national monument in 1929, and it became a national park on November 12, 1971. The park covers 76,519 acres, or approximately 119 square miles. It contains over 2,000 natural sandstone arches, which is the highest density in the world. The arches range from openings of at least 3 feet to the longest landscape arch with an opening of 306 feet. Landscape arch is pretty incredible. I'd recommend that. And the highest point in the park is called Elephant Butte at 5,653 feet, and the lowest point is the Visitor Center at 4,085 feet. They do receive on average 8 to 10 inches of precipitation annually, and temperatures can fluctuate over 40 degrees in a single day. I know a lot of people tend to think of the desert kind of as, a hot environment, but it's absolutely correct that the temperature fluctuations, it's really more of just a extreme environment. Like, it can be really cold in the winter, it can be super hot in the summer, and then even in just a normal day, it can be very the temperature can fluctuate highly. Those people I just passed on the trail, I really like their jackets, such a super bright color, which is excellent. I would caution you if you do go in the summer, it can be extremely hot, so make sure to wear sunscreen and electrolytes, and just really respect the sun. Even though a lot of people might think like, oh, it sounds so nice being in the sun, it can really be quite torturous in an environment where there's not too much shade. I did this hike quite early in the morning. That's why there is shade kind of going over a lot of the trail here. So that was quite nice. As far as geology goes, the park lies atop an underground salt bed, which is responsible for the formation of the arches, spires, balanced rocks, and other formations. The Entrada and Navajo sandstones are prominent layers where these formations occur. There are 483 species of plants and 186 species of birds, 52 species of mammals, and several species of reptiles and amphibians. Rare and endangered species include the Canyonlands biscuit root, bald eagle, and several fish species like the bony-tailed chub. Visitation, over 1.5 million visitors in 2017, with numbers fluctuating year by year. Note that when I went to the park, they did have a timed entry system in place, meaning that you actually had to reserve in advance and schedule a date and a time to enter the park. I'm not 100% sure if that's their finalized plan, and I know the dates even currently fluctuate, like it's only required at a certain time period throughout the year. So I would highly recommend heading over to Arches National Park website, as well as recreation.gov, so you can see what the exact regulations are before you go. There is a campground within the park, Devil's Garden Campground. However, it's extremely busy. I saw a list recently of the top 10 busiest campgrounds within the National Park Service, and Devil's Garden Campground was on that list. So make sure to keep that in mind if you are going to go there, and be prepared to maybe not get a spot because of how busy it is. Additionally, for additional lodging, consider Moab, Utah, which is just outside the park, which is a relatively large town for the area, although it's hard to call it a large town in any real respect. But Moab has a lot of campgrounds near it and around it, as well as more traditional lodging like hotels and things like that. Moab serves as the gateway to Arches National Park, located just 4 miles north of the town. And Moab's also close to Canyonlands, and it's really a hub for outdoor enthusiasts, mountain biking, rafting, off-roading, ATVing, all that stuff is absolutely, it's really a mecca for all of it here. So if you're an outdoors person, if any of those things kind of pique an interest, Moab is an awesome place to do it. This whole geographic region is called the Colorado Plateau. I like to consider the Colorado Plateau It's kind of all the whole area that looks like these red rocks, almost like, I don't know, my perception of like Mars or something is what the Colorado Plateau is. And even though it's called the Colorado Plateau, it is really, I mean, it's in the very, very western part of Colorado, a lot of southern Utah, and then Arizona, kind of down to the Grand Canyon, as well as into New Mexico. So it's kind of that Four Corners area. But absolutely beautiful. Love the Colorado Plateau. I swear, almost the whole thing could really be a national park. It's cool too. I find when you're driving around, like on the interstate or even on some of the highways. I mean, obviously a lot of the highways around Moab are just spectacular, but in a lot of areas you kind of have these open plains, and it's hard to imagine. But a lot of times, if you go exploring and just go a little bit off the beaten path, you can just have these amazing canyons. So this whole area is just really incredible. Let's see here. So you do really want to leave no trace, right? A lot of these videos really don't have any garbage or anything lying about. So let's keep it that way. You know what I mean? If you do bring anything into the wilderness, please pack it out. And, you know, they like to say, leave only footprints, take only pictures. You know, and then there are 7 kind of principles of leave no trace. Plan ahead and prepare. So kind of know where you're going. Again, the sun can be brutal here, so be prepared for that. And just, you know, maybe a map. Consider bringing something like that, especially around these, a lot of the area of the Colorado Plateau. You're kind of walking on a lot of slick rock, or you're, you know, on a canyon bottom. It can be challenging for navigation, particularly if you're not used to this area. So be prepared for that. Travel and camp on durable surfaces. So, you know, travel here, you really want to stick to, you know, designated trails would be the most ideal. But after that, maybe consider slick rock like we're on now, or maybe like a sandy wash, and a wash is like a dry creek bed. But other than that, you really probably don't want to go off of that too much. There's this stuff called cryptobiotic soil in the area, and cryptobiotic soil looks kind of just like dirt, but it's actually this textured, it looks kind of textured with some dark spots kind of on it, or a dark covering. And if you step on it, it can actually take a really, really, really long time for it to regrow. So consider maybe not, just avoid stepping on cryptobiotic soil. Took some pictures here. Absolutely beautiful place here. I love it. Dispose of waste properly. Leave what you find. Minimize campfire impact. I don't even think campfires are allowed in the park. Maybe they are in the campground. I'm not sure. Respect wildlife and be considerate of other visitors. So even though this landscape is so harsh, it is home to, or has been home to, a number of Native American societies, and they tend to be kind of grouped together to be called the ancestral Puebloans. And you know, they're formerly known as the Anasazi, and they inhabited this Four Corners region, including areas near Arches, from around 2000 BCE to 1300 CE. So for a pretty long time, I mean, 3,300 years. It's kind of hard to imagine how, and there's some really cool artifacts. I'm sure there's some in Arches, but this whole larger area of the Colorado Plateau has all these really cool, there's like granaries that have been carved into rock, and you get all sorts of different areas where there's just ruins and remains of all sorts of really, truly amazing kind of dwellings and just signs of the ancestral Puebloans. Pretty cool. And there's a lot of petroglyphs too, so like drawings on rocks. Pretty incredible. And in terms of agriculture, they were known for their advanced agricultural techniques, and for pottery and masonry. And just remember, if you do find a shard of pottery or anything like that, it's cool to check it out, but then you really want to leave it where you found it so that next visitor can check it out. If everybody takes a little piece, then there won't be any for anybody else to be able to discover and have really enjoy it. One note about the trail here, as you notice, not really super marked. You know, we're just kind of going down the creek bed. So keep that in mind. For some people, maybe that can be a challenging thing to be used to, particularly like on the East Coast or Pacific Northwest, or even a lot of places out west. Honestly, there's a well-defined trail kind of dug out into the ground. That's obviously not the case here. So keep that in mind and just be cautious. This hike is pretty straightforward. You're on the Park Avenue. You have the tall walls on either side of you, so you kind of just go down or go up it depending on which way you're going. But in a lot of places it can be a little bit more tricky. It's kind of like, where do I go? So just kind of keep your wits about you in terms of navigation whenever you're around these areas. All right, well, I don't have too much else to say. I'm sure I could easily ramble for another 35 minutes or 25 minutes, however long this video is. You can feel free to watch the video more or stop it. And again, I'm kind of experimenting with these videos, so I'm not sure what's best for people. I guess in my mind, it's kind of like, well, just include the whole thing. If you don't like to hear my voice, you can just mute me out. You can always increase the speed of them. You can kind of scrub ahead or behind to look at a certain portion of the trail if you're curious about it. Or for those who want to, learn about all the things that I just talked about, you're free to watch that as well. I did make a bunch of other videos, kind of educated, about Arches, and I think I actually have nearly all the trails in Arches National Park. So feel free to take a look at those and let me know in the comments if you have any preference or if you think this is good or bad. Thanks so much, everyone. Have a nice day.